Okay, so my previous video about episode 7 was safe for you if you haven't read the Wheel of Time books. This video, not safe. Okay, I repeat, this video is not safe for people who have not read the entire Wheel of Time book series. I will be spoiling specific plot points and general plot points all the way through to the final book in the Wheel of Time series. So if you have not finished the entire series, do not watch this video. I cannot tell you how weird it is to say that. It feels so weird. But I want to be as clear as possible because I hate the idea of spoiling anything for anyone. So just know, full spoilers, full book series. And with that out of the way, let's go.
Let's be nerdy, babe. Let's be nerdy, let's be nerdy. Let's be nerdy, babe. Let's be nerdy, babe. Let's be nerdy, let's be nerdy, babe.
Okay, so that cold open, right? Oh my god, so badass! Tigraine is a queen! Or kind of. I mean, she kind of literally would have been a queen. She's a daughter heir. I don't know, whatever. It's amazing. That cold open was fantastic. The fight choreography, oh my god, I loved this. And I loved seeing her pain. Oh, no, that sounds bad. Like, it makes me sound like a sadist. What I mean is that, like, for decades, I've read about this. I've read about Tigraine, about Shail giving birth on the slopes of Dragon Mount to, in the middle of a war. And because I don't know her, I know Rand and I know Tam, I hadn't really thought about what a horrifying situation that would be for her. This is, I don't know, this is one of the things that I'm loving most about the show. It's giving me new perspectives on events and characters that I hadn't thought of. Now, I've said this before, but I'll say it again. I don't watch anyone else's videos or read any content or whatever about these episodes before I make my own videos. This is the last one, so I'm super excited. Because I don't want anyone else's ideas to color my own. I want any thoughts that come out of my mouth right now to be my thoughts. But I am desperate. Right now, I want to watch reaction videos to this episode from people who haven't read the books. Obviously, there's a big reveal later on, and I'm interested in that, but this cold open, I was trying to imagine what it would be like from the perspective of someone who hasn't read the books. Like, it's a bunch of fully armed soldiers attacking a pregnant woman? And, okay, she's got spears, but she's not wearing full armor. She's pregnant. She looks vulnerable. As a book reader, I know that, A, this is a war and she's a soldier, and B, she's Aiel, so she's dangerous even without weapons, let alone if she has access to one spear, let alone 3. I know that those soldiers who are attacking her, they aren't villains. They aren't necessarily bad guys, right? They're soldiers fighting in a war against an enemy that, from their perspective, invaded their lands and has proven to be lethal. But people who've never read the books, how are they interpreting what they're seeing here? I cannot wait. I've got like 5 reaction videos queued up the second I upload this video. Anyway, moving on from the cold open. The first scene we get, like after the credits, is in the ways. And I do admit, I was still concerned about the fact that it appears, after watching this episode like once, it appears that you still needed to channel to both get in and out of the ways. However, many people pointed this out in the comments, and I saw this as well in the stills on the X-ray information in the episode. There are stills from the episode that aren't in the episode, and some of them show Pat and Fane holding a trefoil leaf, so that must still be show canon, and I'm not sure why they didn't show that. A completely stupid spoilery thing I noticed, like, it does not matter at all, but Loial says in the ways that Ogier aren't known for their speed. And in the books, I'm pretty sure at one point we see Loial, like, running along and keeping up with horses, so yeah, it's not important at all, but my brain went full on, well, actually, like, in that moment, I was just like, no, that's not, But it's stupid. It's dumb. Doesn't matter. Another side note on Loial. At one point during this Ways segment, Rand says his name and says it Loial instead of Loyal. And so I'm going to keep my headcanon pronunciation until I'm told differently. The Ways themselves. They don't look anything like how they're described in the books, and they also don't look anything like my very vague, brain interpretation of what I've been trying to picture over the years. But also, I gotta say, I kind of don't care, because I don't think there is a way to show the Ways as described in the books, because the main thing about the Ways is oppressive darkness that cannot be penetrated by light. And that is a very evocative image, like, to sort of put in your mind in the books, but you cannot show that on screen because it's just dark. I don't know. The only way to show darkness where light can't penetrate it, the only way I can imagine that is a spotlight, and that would look so dumb, so silly, so whatever. What they came up with, it works. It's fine. I'm not in love with it, but also I kind of don't hate it. I don't. It doesn't look like a place where you want to be, which is enough. I think that's what they needed to convey. So yeah. Oh, I've also had a couple of comments telling me that they don't like the fact that the show is combining waygates and portal stones, and I see literally no evidence that they're doing that in the show so far. These gates, like, they're clearly called waygates. They do not lead to parallel worlds. I don't know. Maybe they are combining them, but I think assuming that they are based on anything that we've seen so far is reaching. Like, it's searching for something to be mad at, and I don't understand it. We get our first clue in the ways about Perrin's supervision, and, like, they are really doing a slow burn with Perrin here. It's interesting, because by the end of this episode, people who've never read the books will know who the Dragon Reborn is, but they might still think Perrin's a werewolf. Like, it's such a difference from the books. In the books, the wolf brother thing is explicitly laid out. It's explained in detail. This is just so different. I'm not mad at it. It's, more mysteries for the audience to figure out, but it's just, this is a very big change. Machin Shin. As I said in my raw reaction video, I think this interpretation of it was so smart for the show. I do admit to being somewhat sad, like, I don't know, disappointed maybe, to not be grossed out and terrified by Machin Shin. Because, as I've said before, I'm not particularly visual, but I am very auditory. Like, even with watching Wheel of Time, there are violent scenes that I turn away from. I can't watch them. And I've realized, learned from having to rewatch and take notes, if I can turn down the sound during the violence, when there's, I don't hear the squishing of the blades going into flesh, it doesn't bother me nearly as much. The sound is what disturbs me. And the idea of a wind that, has this disgustingness in it, whispers these horrifying things, it's nightmare-inducing for me. And I imagined that the sound design of whatever they came up with for Machin Shin it would be something that would make me lose sleep. I was worried, but also intrigued. But I didn't need to worry, because this is a much smarter way to do this. In the show, we don't get to see inside people's heads, so this allows us to have a glimpse of what we're missing in this medium. In this medium, we can't see their thoughts, so this is genius. And as N from Cool Story, which is another podcast about it, it's a fantastic Wheel of Time podcast. N is a longtime reader of the books, and then their co-host Matt is a first-time reader. But anyway, as N posted on Twitter, Machin Shin is depression, which, yeah, that's pretty accurate. But anyway, we get to hear their anxieties and fears, and the ones that were of particular interest to me were Lan and Nynaeve's and how they mirrored each other, and then Moiraine's. I loved, first of all, the ambiguity in Lan's insecurities. It mirrors what we see in the books, right? As early as Eye of the World, where he hesitates between Moiraine and Nynaeve. The use of the word her, you won't be able to protect her. It's perfect. And I'm personally choosing to interpret this ambiguity as actually being present in Lan. That he heard that, and even in his own mind, he was not sure who her was, and that in itself was part of the torment for him. Moiraine's was also intriguing to me for the same reason her entire story was intriguing to me in the last episode. Moiraine has never been my entry point character. I never try, when I'm reading, to see things through her eyes. Even in New Spring, when we're mostly in her perspective, I still feel some distance from her. Hearing her thoughts, her think of the Two Rivers kids as children, her protectiveness, even her reticence in the last episode when Swan was like, take them all to the Eye of the World, and she balked at the idea. She ultimately agreed because, it has to be done, but she does think of them as children, and she cares. I found this really touching. And of course, Nynaeve. All right, I was talking with some friends on Discord today about Nynaeve, and was saying that one of the many, many reasons I love Nynaeve is that her response to fear, her response to her own securities is to run headlong into them, right? To explode with anger, to rush in without thinking. Her response is action. It's not always healthy. In fact, it's often very unhealthy, foolhardy, dangerous, but it's action. And my response to those same things, to insecurity and fear, is to fold in on myself. It's the opposite of what she does. And so I look at her as a character and I'm amazed. I admire her. I aspire to some semblance of what she has, to not be paralyzed by my own fears and insecurities. And in this moment, we see that in her. Like, Machin Shin lays her deepest fears bare before her, that the people that she loves will die and she will be helpless to stop it. And this enrages her. She is going to prove that this faceless voice is wrong, and she goes and literally screams into the void. It's a reckless action, and it works. She protects her friends, and I love her for it. And in this moment, there's another thing that I loved. The contrast between Nynaeve and Moiraine. What Moiraine is doing at the Waygate is intricate and precise. It is practiced and detailed. Nynaeve is flailing. She is like, literally, she's just made a massive ball of light. Like, there's no control here. I love the two of them together, and I want so much more of it, and I don't know how much we're gonna get, because I don't know how much the story will allow. Oh, yeah, plus the look on Moraine's face when she, like, glances behind her and sees Nynaeve, and she's like, oh, that's right, I brought a nuke with me, oh. Egwene's voices. The only thing of note to me is that I actually found it funny how easily and quickly she threw it off. Like, I don't know, maybe she's faking it to, soothe Rand, but I don't think so. I think she heard the voice say, you're an imposter and a fraud, and then she heard Moiraine say, ignore that, and she went, yeah, she's right, I'm not an imposter, that Wind was an idiot. Anyway, and just moved on. I'll talk about parents later, but the only other thing to say about the Waygate is that the teacher in me was very happy to see them rectify their mistake from the last episode, because Moiraine waited at the Waygate until everyone was out before leaving. Last week, when they were going in, even before it was revealed that Matt hadn't gone in, I was watching them all walk towards the Waygate, and in my mind, I was like, you're doing it wrong. Lan, you should be last. You should be last. Someone responsible has to bring up the rear so you can make sure all the kids are here. Has anyone done a head count? You have to do a head count. You always have to do a head count. So anyway, Moiraine waiting until everybody was out satisfied that itch. Inside Fal Dara, we have Uno! I have nothing else to say except Uno! Yes! Apparently the actor who is playing Uno is a long-time Wheel of Time fan, so that is really cool. I guess I did have something else to say about him. I don't know. Whatever. I'm very happy to see him. Okay, literally just had this thought right now. They are establishing Uno and Lan as friends, which sets things up really nicely for later on with Nynaeve and Uno, when they go on adventures together. I don't know, that's really nice. I like that. Notes. Min. Okay, Min. First of all, I love the vibe Min is giving off here. She is not taking anyone's shit, and I love it. Plus, not gonna lie, she kinda, this cast is too attractive. I have never once in my life thought that it would be possible for me to feel any form of attraction to Min Farshaw, but Kay Alexander in this tank top. Help me. What is happening? This cast is... what is happening? Moiraine subtly threatens her here with exposure, like exposure of what she can do. And I kind of liked it because it explains something that I've always wondered about. Not that much, like it's not a big deal, but in the books, I think it's in The Great Hunt, Min is at the White Tower because Moiraine sent for her. Moiraine wasn't even there. Like, she didn't send Aes Sedai to overpower Min with the one power and tie her up or whatever. She somehow made it so Min had no choice but to go. Min, who we see defy Aes Sedai several times in the books, was unable to defy Moiraine even at a distance. This threat to expose her, it's bullying for sure. It's definitely not nice behavior on Moraine's part, but it makes sense, and it's a way that I can see that having been done in the books. So as much as it's not really all that great a thing for Moiraine to have done, Moiraine, of course, is not a saint. She's not perfect. And it scratched this sort of small itch in my mind of, that makes sense. Yeah, I can see how that worked. Okay, we got Min, so we gotta talk about her viewings. 3 of them, we know. Gold Ring, that's Lan and Nynaeve. White Flame is Egwene. Amerlin Seat, Flame of Tarvalin. Oh, just thinking about it. Like, now that I've got Egwene, like, I've got it, it's gonna hurt. It hurt already in the books. Like, I cried. It's gonna hurt so much more. Anyway, okay. And of course, Perrin, Wolf Boy, Rand, and the baby. I have no idea. Now, granted, I haven't had a lot of time to think about it. I've mostly been like notes, video is what I've been doing so far. But I've also, incidentally, actively avoided speculating online and tried to avoid, any discussions, whatever, because, again, trying to keep my thoughts my own before I get my videos out. But yeah, I have no idea. I did peep that Min didn't maintain eye contact with Moiraine when Moiraine asked, whose baby is it? Min kind of looked away and was like, I don't know, just looks like a baby. But that could just have been nothing. I don't know. It could be a clue, or it could just be an acting choice. And then, okay, we get the tense scene by the fireplace. And I'm going to talk about, because there's things in this scene, like this is, fairly long scene, whatever. There's things in it that I love. And I'm going to talk about that first. Once again, of course, the interplay between Moiraine and Nynaeve. I love it so much. It's like my headcanon about their relationship come to life on screen. Nynaeve tries her best to stand up to Moiraine and is put in her place with the word girl, which is Nynaeve's kryptonite. Moiraine, she just so easily puts Nynaeve off balance. But then we see that Nynaeve is able to get her spine back when she's speaking for the group, or like when she's protecting her people. That gives her the courage that she needs to stand up to Moiraine. Okay, and then we get this part that I hate, and I'm going to talk about that in a bit. But, okay, while I do hate that conflict that comes up, and I will, like I said, I'm going to go into it, I like the fact that that conflict is born out of Nynaeve's temper getting the better of her. She speaks without thinking. That is very, very book accurate. And then, after the stupidness, comes another moment that I love. Everyone leaves the room, and Nynaeve is left there alone, knowing that she caused this problem with her lack of impulse control. And you can see her disappointment and shame in herself and her feelings of failure. And we get a braid tug. I mean, this one actually looks exactly like how I imagined braid tugs looked in the books, except that she isn't angry. She's comforting herself, and you can see it on her face. It's beautiful. Okay, this moment that I love is born out of this conflict that I hate. That Perrin has a thing for Egwene. I do not know why this is here, especially given the fact that they've already changed his backstory to include a wife. In an earlier video, can't remember which one, so many videos, so fast, but whatever, I said that the one reason that I could see, like a reason for making Perrin's tragic backstory a fridging story, would be that having him have a wife would just eliminate the possibility of people assuming that there was any romantic feelings between him and Egwene. Especially given the fact that the tragic way his wife died literally just happened. Like, it just happened. I honestly thought, they probably talked this out in the writer's room and were like, of course, we want to avoid unnecessarily creating female characters just to fridge them, but Layla could serve another function, avoiding that automatic shipping that people do whenever there's a man and woman on screen together for any amount of time. It makes sense. But no, they added Layla, and they tried to add this. And I do know that some people see it in earlier episodes, but for me, adding this, it sours those scenes for me in those earlier episodes. Like, I talked about it so much, how much I loved their friendship. I loved it in the books, and I was loving it in the show, but now those moments that I adored between them, they feel tainted. Tainted. But whatever. They feel tainted by this unnecessary addition to their connection that it adds nothing. It adds nothing to the story. I honestly do not get it. I do not like it. I also don't think that they did enough, like, to make this pay off. Like, to me, it feels like it came out of nowhere. I said this in my other videos about this episode. This moment completely yanked me out of the episode. My immersion was just gone. Like, when I was watching it for the first time, my watch-along video for my patrons, you can see this. I was actually saying out loud at this point, this is weird, this is weird, this is weird. That's how much it was hitting me as odd. I couldn't contain it. It's entirely possible that in the future this could have a satisfying payoff, but I cannot conceive of one right now, and I kind of mostly hope it just goes away and we never speak of it again. But okay, moving on. We then get a scene between Lan and Moiraine that it makes me cry. I've now watched this episode 3 times, and I've cried at the same moment every single time. when Lan is leaving and Moiraine says, I like her, you know, the wisdom. That moment, it gets me, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly what it is that this scene is saying that touches me like that. Moiraine believes in this moment that she's going to die tomorrow. But at this moment, she also thinks Lan is going with her, so that means he's gonna die too, right? So this is a goodbye, but then what is it about saying that she likes Nynaeve that gets me? Is it the fact that she's giving her blessing? But like, it's not a relationship that she's blessing, because again, at this moment, she thinks all but one of them is about to be dead soon, so there's no possibility of a relationship to bless. I think part of it might be that I can see her love for him here. She wants so much for her friend to have love and be happy and to have all the things that their mission has taken away from them. God, I love seeing this level of deep friendship being portrayed between a man and a woman. It's heartbreakingly beautiful. Another part of it might be how much I think Nynaeve needs to hear this. She wouldn't believe it right now. Like, she wouldn't trust it for so many reasons. Her own securities and doubt in herself, for one, her lack of trust in Aes Sedai in general, and Moiraine specifically. But I think she needs to know that Moiraine approves of her and then likes her. But she won't. At least not for a long time. And that hurts. I don't know. There's a lot happening in this moment, and it just hits me. And I want to figure it out, but whatever. I gotta get this video out, so self-analysis, it's gonna have to wait. And then we get the flirtation between Lan and Nynaeve, followed by her coming into his room without knocking, and I had to laugh at this moment, because that has to be a nod to the books, right? No one in these books bloody knocks! It's infuriating sometimes. But that scene where she comes in, this is her proposing to him in the Blight, right? Like, we don't get his poetry. I think that might still come next episode. I will wait and hope for it, but this felt very, very natural. It's much more realistic than a marriage proposal, and actually feels more intimate, you know? I mean, it's just a kiss, it's just sex that we don't see, whatever, but, you know, even though it's not a lifelong commitment, by virtue of the medium, I think this feels way more intimate than it would have been if she'd come in and been like, will you marry me, or whatever. I can't quote her, because she doesn't say poetry in that moment. He does. It's his words, I remember. But whatever, this is much more realistic, much more intimate, much more romantic, and yeah, it definitely reads better on the show, because if she had proposed to him at this point, it would have felt so weird. So I loved this. I loved it. In my previous videos about this episode, I talked a lot about how upset I was when they cut away from their kiss. And I still feel that way, three watches in. But thinking about it more, I don't think I wanted a sex scene. What I wanted, I think, was what we got with Moiraine and Swan. Like, Moiraine and Swan, they kissed, and then they cut the scene. We didn't get a sex scene with them, but we see them relaxing in bed together. The intimacy between them. I wanted to see that. But thinking about it, it makes sense that we don't get to see it yet, because I don't think they have that yet. Other spoilery thoughts. The Rand reveal. I don't really have much interesting to say about this. It played out pretty much exactly as I thought it would, you know, via flashback. I thought it was really well done. Of course, the cold open and the actress who was playing Shail knocked that out of the park. But that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Yeah, I can't wait to see some non-reader reactions to it. Other spoilery thoughts. I think we're gonna get the circus, like that whole rainbows and carnivals and three beautiful women. That was nicely done. Everyone who hasn't read the books is gonna dismiss that. That's really cool. And Fane. Oh, I can't wait. They have been laying the groundwork really well for Fane all season, so he's got to be a big part of the finale, which of course is a massive departure from the books. But I am so excited for this, because Fane is such a good villain, and that actor. Like, I've only seen bits of him in the show. I think I've seen him in other stuff, but he has an energy to him that I can't wait to see. And Fane is such a cool character, so I'm really excited. I have no idea how things are going to play out at the eye, and I can't wait. Final spoilery thought. What do you think Machin Shin said to Loyal? Give me your best in the comments. My first thought was that Machin Shin was like, "You're never going to finish your book." And then my next one was, what was it? Your explanations aren't deep and thorough enough, and do not contain nearly enough historical context for your human friends to make informed decisions, or something like that. I don't know. That's what my brain came up with. But how about you? Let me know in the comments below. And any other spoilery thoughts about this episode, because I think that's all of mine. This is a spoiler-full video, so feel free to go full spoilers in the comments. Or you can come join my Discord, which I will link in the description below. And if you like my content and want to support me, you can check out my Patreon, which will also be linked in the description below. My patrons, you are true gentlemen and scholars, and gentle ladies, and gentle persons. You're all amazing. That's what I want to say. Let's leave it at that. And with that, I will end this here. So please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.